Welcome back. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Delvecchio here, and changes indeed as we age. How many times have you heard, oh, it's just my hormones? Well, how do our bodies actually change as we age? And is there a difference in the aging process between men and women? Well, we're now diving into the world of cognitive aging and hormone-brain interactions. I know that's a mouthful, but with insights from the Bimonte-Nelson Laboratory. Their research is notably focuses on how understanding sex differences in biology is crucial for accurate health assessments, and how oftentimes professional literature can misrepresent realities. Very interesting stuff here. And joining us today is Dr. Heather Bimonte-Nelson, President's Professor and Barrett Honors Faculty at Arizona State University in the Department of Psychology, Behavioral Neuroscience, and Comparative Psychology. Dr. Bimonte-Nelson, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here today.
Well, thank you for coming on air. And this is incredible research, really it is, because you're trying to challenge some traditional understandings and past research. And so as our population ages, what is the primary research that focuses in the Bimonte-Nelson Laboratory?
Well, thank you so much for asking. So our laboratory studies how hormones impact the brain and the way that the brain functions. And we particularly emphasize questions about impacts during aging regarding memory changes. So we focus on how female reproductive organs, such as the uterus and the ovaries, and hormones, such as estrogens and progesterones, impact the aging brain. I would like to mention I have a huge team of really smart and motivated undergraduate college students, 2 PhD students, Cameron Lizick, Matt Overman, who literally right now, today, are working hard in the lab collecting data to discover how hormones impact brain health and memory. And one thing I want to make sure to highlight is that women's bodies have had to fight hard to be heard. The more data we collect, the more we listen to those data, the more we're learning that hormones impact many body systems in females across the entire lifespan.
So interesting. And, you know, you're right about your team. I was looking online and doing a little research for today's interview. And boy, oh boy, you really do have a team behind you of very enthusiastic students and graduate students. And again, you're challenging. I love what you just said about sort of challenging what has been traditional. And so I'd like to your take on why it's important for scientific research to recognize and study sex differences in biology and function.
Thank you so much for asking that. And I think that this is a very under-recognized area that is now starting to gain momentum, fortunately. Sex is a basic variable that impacts biology and function from beginning to end, from fetal development continuing all the way across the entire lifespan. And if we talk about the brain specifically, we know that sex and hormones impact brain biology and function. This is real. This is scientifically complex, and we really need to have the bravery, the perseverance, that is the scientific heart, to dig in and explore this complexity. Eliminating this knowledge gap and how sex impacts health and disease is the only way we can achieve accuracy in science and medicine. And it really is the only way that we can make sure that the benefits of scientific research impact each and every individual, women, men, all individuals across the spectrum.
Listening to Life Unrehearsed, Matt Delvecchio here, talking with Dr. Bimonte-Nelson about hormones and aging. Dr. Bimonte-Nelson is at Arizona State University and leading research in this field. Now, you've talked about some of the literature that's out there. Can you give some examples, some real examples, Dr. Bimonte, about how literature is perhaps misinterpreted on health-related outcomes?
Absolutely. So one example is the dogma that male biology and function is the gold standard presentation to which all other profiles should be compared. In other words, that is the norm. Anything aside from the male data is divergent. This is wildly inaccurate and wildly inappropriate if we are going to determine the scientific truth, the truth in nature. We cannot just study half of the population and think that we understand science that will impact our communities. We need to do better. So sometimes there's an impact of sex and hormones. Sometimes there's not. In many cases, there are specific parameters or factors that impact whether sex differences and hormone effects are seen. So many studies show sex differences in biological factors and the functional phenotype. And what I mean by that is what is represented to the world. An example of sex differences in phenotype is certain domains of cognition, metabolism of drugs, symptoms of disease. These differences cannot be ignored. Mm-hmm. So the meeting that is occurring now in Montreal, Women, Sex, Gender, and Dementia, is really critical in this regard. This allows for a forum of scientific experts to brainstorm about the newest data and to decide the most important next steps to advance brain and cognitive health. And it really takes the insight of scientists like Dr. Gillian Einstein, who is the Wilfred and Joyce Poslan's chair at University of Toronto, to recognize the importance of this and organize a conference to push sex and hormone science forward. And that is literally what is happening right now this weekend through tomorrow.
You're exactly right. Dr. Gillian Einstein was actually going to be a guest on Life Unrehearsed, but she's part of leading a panel that is on exactly right now, and there's one more day left in this conference. But we win because you're our guest today, and we're quickly running out of time. However, you are on the leading edge of research, Dr. Bimonte-Nelson. We're talking to. What are some of the emerging areas in the field of hormone-brain interactions and cognitive aging that you're finding, quite interesting and intriguing?
So in the last years especially, there have been really exciting discoveries that have shed light on the importance of how reproductive organs, such as the uterus and ovaries, are necessary for the optimal functioning of many systems. For example, we and others are showing now that the presence or absence of the uterus, that is whether hysterectomy has occurred, is important for the brain and cognition. Why is this important? This is important because hysterectomy is one of the most common surgical procedures in women, and some medical textbooks still describe the non-pregnant uterus as dormant and useless. So, and we and others are showing that that is in fact not the case, and this is true from all the way from preclinical work into women. Our recent findings include work showing that hysterectomy can impair memory and that these impairing effects are long-lasting.
Well, you're
whether these memory impairments can be reversed by treatment such as hormone therapy is yet to be determined, but it highlights the importance of continually doing women's health research.
Well,
we cannot stop here.
No, can't stop, and we'll really wish you, continued success and groundbreaking research because you're challenging the norm, and I think it's so important for women and men right across the world. I want to thank you very much for taking a little time here on a Sunday, Dr. Bimonte-Nelson.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
You too. That's Dr. Bimonte-Nelson. She's the President's Professor and Barrett Honors Faculty at Arizona State University in the Department of Psychology, Behavioral Neuroscience, and Comparative Psychology. Very interesting and just challenging past research based on men and women. All right. Next week on Life Unrehearsed, it's our 7-year anniversary, believe it or not, on Life Unrehearsed. And join us as we take you behind the scenes about what it takes to put on Life Unrehearsed. And CJAD's very own Ken Connors will be with me talking about his incredible career. And the owners of Beaver Tails will tell us about their fascinating story of how the iconic, delicious treat came to be and to where they are today. You just say Beaver Tails and it automatically puts a smile on your face. Looking to have the entire team from Beaver Tails tell us their story. Thank you for tuning in to Life Unrehearsed. As a reminder, for all your inquiries or assistance with life transitions, home home care and the senior living industry, it'd be my pleasure to help. You could find out more if you look up Lianas Senior Transition Support. That's Lianas, Lianas, Senior Transition Support. And many thanks to Dimitra Kritsidimas and Max Cadet. Thank you very much. Both of you did a great job helping me with the show today. You can listen to Life Unrehearsed here on CJD 800 every Sunday at 4 p.m. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.